I'm Karsten Frohwein. I now live in Switzerland, in Zurich. I'm a developer now from 2001. Wrote my first own ZMS in Visual Basic, I think, or something crappy like that. And then after a long time of doing Joomla, Drupal, I ended more or less up with Symfony, and was looking for a Symfony content management system. And this is basically my story, how I ended up with Sulu.io, because I didn't want to do Drupal anymore. Sorry, Drupal community, I love you, but I don't want to use your code anymore. Anyways, currently I'm working on a Spryker shop to be the most amazing shop ever created in Switzerland. And we want to use Sulu as our content management system. And I'm not part of the Sulu team. I always tell them I'm their mascot, and I love to go around and evangelize a bit about the content management system, which I would more, since the release of the 2.0, call a data management system. And but first, let's talk about some historic things. I can't imagine a world anymore without Composer, but the truth is Composer's on the market only for 7 years now. And before Composer, we had this pre-framework thingies called content management systems. And we used it for everything. I mean, look at WordPress, you can do anything on WordPress. I mean, WooCommerce is rocking so many shops around the internet, we can just only imagine to do all those things with Symfony. I hope the Symfony shops are a little more sophisticated than the WooCommerce shops, but still, who cares? It's still business. So before that, the content management system platform was the solution for everything. There weren't really frameworks. I mean, there was some stuff like CodeIgnite or CakePHP or stuff. But you normally ended up to use your Joomla, to use your Drupal, to use your WordPress to find a solution for everything. And in the end, that is something really weird, because obviously the code wasn't structured for that. People who created those content management had a content management system in mind, so they were talking about abstraction for content management problems, and then people said we have a high demand and getting everything done with it, and so they built intranets, customer relationship and everything with the content management system, and in the end everything was a mess. So happy times for us. In my opinion, the end of the CMS systems is very close, and we are just going into the framework world. I mean, if you take a look at JavaScript, okay, every day a new framework, still they are going to frameworks as well, or to those big application build things like React.js or Angular. So we don't have to mess around anymore with some kind of strange systems that pop up every time and more hurt the environment than doing good. So I stumbled about Sulu.io. Just for the history books, there was a first version made with Zend, and as the team told me at that time, everything had to have 2 O's in them, so they called it Sulu. Sulu from Zend environment, then they moved it to Symfony and recreated the name to Sulu. That's the magic story behind it. There's sadly no Star Trek reference, which I prefer, but that's how it came to it. And what I do really like about Sulu is, first of all, it's open source. It's real MIT license, it's not even GPL or anything. It's just open for you to use and do whatever you like with it. This is quite important to me, because there are so many things out there that, different license. If you look at the fight between Joomla and Mambo, and a lot of bundles or plugins, however those were called, they had. So a lot of different stories to tell, but Sulu has nothing like that, because it's MIT, you can do it whatever you like. The most important thing for me, then again, is it's full stack Symfony 4 now. After, let's say they delayed it for a year, they rewrote, I think, 7,200 lines of code, they did so many commits and everything. So, hey guys, since a month now, we have Sulu 2. And it's even better than before because it's now based on Sulu 4, on Symfony 4. And this is very important for me because, as I said before, the content management systems before 2012, before the rise of Composer, where we used to everything, now Sulu is more or less like 4 years old, and it's just concentrating on being a content management system, or better said, a content management bundle for Symfony. Yeah, we don't have bundles anymore, I don't care how it's called today, but doesn't matter in the end. So what I always say is, in the end, you can get rid of Sulu if you don't like it. You have some controller path, you have the chain router, you have the PHP CR, you have a lot of stuff you can use, but those are separate bundles brought together by Sulu, but in the end, it's just a normal Symfony stack. So you do not have to relearn everything. You can use patterns as you like, you can build your own system. Not every solution you're looking for is a problem of the content management system, but you can use standard bundles as you like and find a solution by normal Symfony matters. Do a microservice structure, anything you want. This is just separation of concerns, and yeah, this is why I'm so happy about that this is a full stack Symfony application and not something weird that tries to solve everything for you. The code is rather clean. I would call it standard by today. They have a lot of continuous integration checks. If you just push code to GitHub and try to, to contribute, which of course always is welcome. So you find, again, by Symfony standards, really clean up code, good patterns, should be really easy for you to read it and to apply to it. And they have a really nice user experience. I'll show some hands-on later about the back office. So basically Sulu is more or less two applications with two different kernels. You have the front-end part, and which is just the website, and you have the admin part, which is called normally the back office, where you can do the data editing. And the back office itself is a React.js application, which is very easy to use, blazing fast, and should give you a very good user experience for anybody who wants to edit the content there. And for me, especially important as well, is Sulu doesn't care about the front end. Sulu gives you Twig or any kind of controller you want, but in all, it doesn't care what you do in the front end. So your front end is a JavaScript job as you like, a Twig job as you like. Yeah. So if any other content management system has a plugin for a slider, for example, you always get a JavaScript library. You basically always get a jQuery relation requirement, and yeah, you end up again with a mess because the content management is telling you how to build the front end. Sulu doesn't care. Sulu can give you the data structure. You do the data structure in HTML or whatever you want. You give JSON. That's really easy to do that out of the box. And you immediately have the representation of the stuff you want, and then you can do it with whatever JavaScript library you like to do. You can easily use, as I just said, Sulu as well as a headless or API first thingy. So in the end, you have standard Symfony routing, you have the chain router from the content management framework. The chain router is giving you database routes, and yeah, then you just have a route match and can think about what to do with the data. You could easily implement GraphQL with GraphQL bundles, and yeah, of course, I mean, the responsibility for is with a bundle or for you to write the queries against whatever, maybe an Elasticsearch, or it's up to your imagination. It's not a problem of Sulu again. Sulu has its data structure, you can plug in, you can do whatever you like. If you like to use API platform, hey, do it. Maybe do a separate service, maybe you do a bigger build of your content management system, maybe you have data, I'll show you later. You can use Sulu's backend to administer all these data structures you want, and then it can come all together. This is just open to your imagination. The content management system or the data management system is not holding you back. And last but not least, that's a bit tricky with a low time to market, because all in all you can say, of course, a Sulu setup is 100 times more complicated than setting up WordPress. You don't download a zip or anything. For us developers, it should be rather easy to do one composer command and do the installation. Thing is, if you are an agency and you're thinking about how can I do small content management, well, of course, you will invest 1 to, let's say, 3 months and build up your front-end stack for Sulu. You build up maybe a standard bundle. For example, I'm working on a bundle that gives you basic content management. This is useful in most cases, and then you can go with a lot of standardization. If you know how to write a Symfony bundle, you can build your own standard setup for Sulu. Just have a composer script, just deploy in minutes a new site, do the setup with whatever standard bootstrap front end, give it to your designers. I mean, you can just use your SCSS, for example, but again, this is not a problem of Sulu, to inject some variables so it looks differently but very close, so you can produce loads of cheap websites if you want that. But they are still super standard, blazing fast, Symfony everywhere. You can put it on containers, there's no limit. So think about it. This system, if you want to do cheap websites, just opens you up to do really, really cheap website for a wide, broad market. Yeah. Of course, you have to invest first, but as I said before, I expect you all very well renowned Symfony developers, and that should be an easy task for you. So, what it is not. Yeah, as I said before, it's not unzip and run. You still have to know a lot of complex things which are basically unknown to maintainers of standard WordPress sites. So, of course, you have to know Composer, you have to know Symfony abstraction, you have to know all those things. So, of course, the level of knowledge is a lot higher than for most other CMS. It's not an out-of-the-box, and I have a total awesome website experience. It's still made for developers, yeah, for you guys, which makes it rather special. Yeah, sophisticated knowledge about abstraction is useful for the system, but you can grow a lot if you do that and don't do the other systems out there. Very small websites, for example. So I know the Sulu guys have this comparison between are we more like a small car, are we a fast car, are we a truck, or are we a container vessel? And they say more or like we are the truck, and we are not the speedy high-speed wagon, for example. And well, as I said before, this is mostly true because you have to invest at least in more knowledge of your own and build your own standards, which can be a very difficult task, but everybody should really do this. So if you have like 5-10 pages, go for a static website builder, yeah, put it on GitHub and edit your content there. It doesn't make sense to use any kind of content management at all. I honestly, if you only have like 10 days, do a WordPress job. I wouldn't recommend Sulu for this. If you just want to get out or push out a website as fast as possible with still a nice user experience, you shouldn't know what plugins you have to use to WordPress, because there are so many crappy plugins out there. But all in all, I think WordPress, don't program with WordPress, but just use it and you're fine. And this is just more cost work. The cost-work balance is just better for you if you just go for that. Sulu is not widespread, sorry. So again, if you want to be part of it, if you want to contribute, you are happily welcome. We have a Slack channel. You can easily go there, talk to the team, be part of it, push your code to GitHub, do pull requests, do reviews, do bug reports. Yeah, the system currently has some larger websites running. But it's not like we have a million installations all over the world. And yeah, again, the downside is you have to be familiar with Symfony, which common people are not, especially not designers. So a designer will tell me, what can I do with this? I don't know. If they don't have a developer in-house, you basically can't use Sulu.io at all. Yeah, how to set it up. Pretty simple. Just do a composer create project. There's a new Symfony 4 skeleton now. It just came out 2 weeks ago. I believe currently it's buggy, but they're already working on the 2.01 release. But all in all, you can just set up your project as you probably commonly do with just one line. We take on a look on the skeleton later, and it's just a standard Symfony 4 installation with not really tweaks, just added the standard Sulu settings, and that's it. So basically it will just keep up with Sulu 4 skeleton and nothing special. So you still need some extension, PHP 7.2, DOM file info, icon word, ZJSON example simple XML. I really recommend to use Elasticsearch. The team always says to me, no, Karsten, don't do this. Yes, I do, because Elasticsearch is so far superior to any search mechanism out there. Okay, yeah, everything that you've seen in the end is faster. If you don't use Elasticsearch, there's the PHP Lucene search engine implemented. I think it's just a mess and too slow because it writes the data to the file system. So yeah, it's just easier to use Elasticsearch today with all those Dockerization or just easy setups out there. So Composer, MySQL or Postgre, Webpack. I recommend to use Webpack and Core, of course, but the standard setup is just Webpack, PHP, Elasticsearch, and PHP CR. I always wonder, who of you guys know PHP CR? Wow, okay, this is a low score. I even found one guy that knows it in Java, but okay. So the PHP Content Repository is a way to organize NoSQL data. Means you have normally the implementation is on MySQL. There is just, in the end, it's just XML data bound to a URL dumped into MySQL. Then we do XML queries against MySQL to find stuff if you look it up inside of the database, and that's it. The content repository part says it's a doctrine abstraction. You have some various data types, primitive strings, numbers, and stuff like that. You can read it online. It's rather complicated, and as you see, not very well known. But in the end, it has some real advantages for content management, and the doctrine abstraction can even go against the Jackrabbit server, which is the Java implementation, and then it's a real NoSQL database. So it's harder to set that daemon up, it's harder to run that daemon, but of course it's faster than the MySQL implementation. And yeah, I'll show you the data structure in a few moments, so it's easier to understand why it's used and why it's nicer for content management to be able to change the data anytime. Don't be afraid of it. Probably this will go away in the next versions of Sulu.io because the project doesn't get so much love, but well, it's an interesting thing to know at least. So, in Sulu, as I said before, you have content types, and those are bound to templates. A content type is a string, is a number, is what you see is what you get, editor content, and stuff like that. So there are various useful content types like media managed, like the media manager, headlines, links, and stuff like this, and they all go together inside of a template, which is an XML structure. And you find this on various occasions inside of Sulu. The template can be spread up in blocks, which again hold the primitive types. So you can add various kind of blocks, as many as you like, and set up your content with those. And then you have the snippets. Again, they are built by different content types, and then you can pull in snippets to different parts of your site. And well, I do a hands-on presentation that's much easier to show. So that's the basic data structure. And in the end, all this data is then flowing into Twig templates, and you can use Twig as you like. There are some minor extensions from Sulu.io for Twig, for example, the URL builder. In the end, you have a content, and then you have content.title, content.article, start date, end date, and you can just put it put it into your templates in an HTML template, in a JSON template, as you like, and then you can manage your data by this. Very straight and easy. As I said before, the new back office is rewritten in React, and no, I really have to mirror my I just want to show this to you. I mean, your developers, it's probably much easier for you if I show it. Bring your own entity means you can extend the Sulu and back office with your own. Let me show it, it's easier. There are a few bundles worthy of mentioning. It's a form bundle, it's a very easy small bundle for setting up small forms, so it's nothing fancy. If you want to write forms inside of Sulu, just use the standard Symfony form component, do your own controller, do the form handling. In this case, it's just a contact form or something like that, and it has, again, a backend, so you can click some kind of forms together. You have the article bundle, which is currently not up to date, but it's an interesting idea, and I used it a lot for Sulu 1.6. This is just chronologically ordered content and not bound to any content tree, and you can do mass administration of blog posts, like I used that for magazines with like 20,000 items. And yeah, this is the article bundle. There's a community bundle, single sign-on, login, stuff like this, not ready for the 2.0 right now. Automation bundle is about publishing content on time. Redirect bundle, the SEOs always asked, yeah, but I have like 10,000 old URLs that have to be redirected somewhere else. This is the redirect bundles for. And the theme bundle in Sulu, you can set up various web spaces, and the theme bundle can apply a different theme per web space. I think it's even more powerful, but I never used it personally. So, hands-on. This probably is just too small, and I have to mirror my... Let me check. Display, supply. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Apply. Okay, so yeah, same size, you see what I see. Okay. This is Sulu Rocks. This is the old 1.6 demo. I would still like to use that to show the content management capabilities, because it's currently the only site I have set up with some real content. Yeah. So, if you take a look at this is a fancy website with this fancy self-made front end. The data structure is like you have artists, you have a blog, which is currently empty, you have about us page with some different content, you have different kind of menus, like up here, up there. You can, if there's content in different language, switch the content to a different language, to what else. If you look at this data there, well, I thought they have some song lists, so yeah, pretty nice and easy. So welcome to the back office of Sulu.io. This is built with a basically unknown framework called Aura.js, so I won't talk about that. The base data of Sulu.io is managed in a tree. So this is always the root. Though there are artists and there are various artists. So you can look inside of this page. This is basically a hub or maybe a landing page for artists if you just do it with SEO intents. You always have a title, you have a URL, you have a subtitle. Discover our rooster of talented musicians, and you immediately see the response. Basically, this is auto-update. Okay, this is not auto-updating. Interesting. You can immediately see the response on the preview. The preview can be resized to various output formats, so the content manager can see how this would look as on a tablet or maybe on a mobile. There you have, again, those are content items. This is a media selection. Then you can make your selection from the media pool about the various artists and put your images there. So all in all, everything a content manager would like to have. So, and if you want to have, for example, here more content on the site, you can add something with a block system. Oh, now it's auto-updating. See? And you have a live preview. This is based on RDFA. So the content type have names, and you reuse those names of RDFA data inside of your Twig templates. This is how the JavaScript can find the content and immediately update it. You can save stuff as draft. So you have one content cycle immediately inside of this. This is very useful to use the PHP-CR in this case, because in this PHP-CR you can just, as I said before, data is saved by a URL. You can just say /draft and add it to the PHP-CR, find your draft pages and add them to the content tree in the background. So there always can be some actualized data in the background which you can use. You have various other settings like, yes, we leave that. You have various other settings like an SEO preview, how will this look on Google, keywords, and canonicals, no index, hide on sitemap, stuff like this. You have the excerpt and taxonomies. Taxonomies at base is always a text, and categories. Categories are here currently empty, so I can't choose anything. This is a teaser, the excerpt, which can be used in the system all around. You have some various other settings. For example, you can use the various navigations you could set up and author information. And oh, this is not scheduled. Interesting. So normally you have an authorization tab as well, and then you can use the scheduling feature. You have permissions for different user groups, and yeah, I would say this is pretty standard CMS stuff, as CMS should be able to do with some nice treats. Here you can see the block system. Yeah, you have various block kinds, text, heading. You can just drag and drop them and then immediately see what will happen. You can add new blocks, and all those are based on those content templates and content types I told you before about. So this is a 1.6. Oh, I forgot. So, if I go, I have a Docker container preferred for my own stuff, and then I can go to the local host. This is the base installation of Sulu. You can easily see this has no front end at all. Now caches. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, you were running before. Be nice. Yeah, So now it loaded. This is a standard template, for example, so there's barely anything on it. If you look at the new administration, this is a shiny React thing. You can again see we have those web spaces. You can have various web spaces. We have an imprint page. I can create a new page. We have those. We have those. We have those different templates to choose. You always can change the template of your content. Of course, this could lead to data loss. On this page, I added anything you can do as content type, so checkboxes, this thingy, there's a color selection, this is a link to some of the contacts inside of the system, so you, if you go here, you can immediately administer different kind of contacts and organizations. You can play around with this data later. And all in all, this is really easy to apply. So how is this done? It's a little small. So, welcome to how to set up a Drupal. I always say Drupal, sorry. Sulu. Come on. As I said before, this is a normal standard Symfony setup. Yeah, you have bin, config, lib is where I do my own stuff currently. You have a public folder. There inside is, of course, the Sulu front end, main page where everything should lead to. This is basically nothing special. The maintenance page is just an example. If you just switch with the URL, probably Nginx or Apache to it, then you have a maintenance page running. This is just standard build stuff for the back office, the bundles, and nothing fancy about it. This is still wrong. There's your upload data, so you should already know that from Symfony. This is your main source, main bundle. There's a kernel inside. So this is, if you know Symfony again, this is nothing special. Yeah, it's already prepared for you because we want to run a Sulu application, but it's nothing really special, fancy, or complicated. So in standard, you have those XML files. You have the web space here, and the web space, for example, is an XML structure with a normal schema. You have a name, in this case example.com. You have a key. You can enter various localizations. Sulu is capable of running indefinite localizations as much as you liked. Stop this. You can define some templates, some default templates for the home page, for the arrow pages. This is really straightforward. The templates for search, arrow, whatever you want. You can set up various navigation menus. You can then link the web pages I showed you in the tree before, just to those various navigations. And then you can say, hey, this is my URL scheme. In this case, the URL scheme is just use a host name, and that's it. You can add, for example, localizations here. This is just read the documentation, but it's really, really easy and straightforward. And then you have those templates with, this is, in this case, it's a template for the content, not a template for Twig. Twig, of course, is in the standard localization as Twig always resides in, and is bound here with view, pages view. As a pages homepage is the view of this page. This has a key. This is bound to a controller. Of course, this is a default controller. If you want to use your own controller, which I do frequently, please feel happy to do. Just enter this, enter your application controller. You extend from the default Sulu controller, dependency inject, for example, everything you like, and really easy going. You can add some names for the backend. You can just then start to add the properties. The properties are the content types I was talking about here. The text line, for example. Then it gets a name, a headline. This is, I hate this touchpad. This is just the standard Sulu behavior. Everything should have a name and a resource locator. And down here starts the more interesting part. In this case, we just use a content type text editor and, for example, an event selection, because this is enhanced with some events I show you later. Here inside of the default, no, inside of the test, and I called it default. This is what I messed this up. Come on. Yeah, I messed this up. But for example, here inside are all different kinds of content types I showed you before. Thing is, if I, for example, just remove the text editor, just reload the backend, go to that thing, and choose the other default, of course. Sorry, naming issues. I hope I named it test. So there's no text editor anywhere around. So you can just choose your template and change your template on the fly. Of course, be aware if you save the XML data and you remove content fields, content types, the data is of course lost, yeah? So nothing will bring that back for you. So you should plan a migration of the data, and then again you can use doctrine migrations for that. So in my opinion, all in all, very easy to do. But this is the power of NoSQL in this case. So if you would use, of course, doctrine, you would have to recast the database. For example, Drupal is doing that, so they are basically always changing the database if you change a node type, which is, in my opinion, rather a pain and can lead to hundreds and hundreds of tables in a really large system. In this case, of course, it's a little messy because it's just XML data somewhere in your system or unstructured data just inside your Jackrabbit. I think it's fine, and it's an honest use case for content management. Yeah, just to mention it. So, if you set up that, you can go to, where is it now? Those are the view, oh, come on. Those are the views. There you have pages, there you have default. Again, this is very easy, content.title, content type name, and you're done. So if you want an JSON representation, for example, you can just enter default.json.twig. Do the same thing you use inside here, but can set up your own JSON serialization. Or you write a new controller, get the data from the database, and do there your serialization. This is totally up to you. Very easy thing to do. So I added an example from a workshop those guys were holding in Berlin at the Symfony Live, and just wanted to show, and this is the total new thing about the 2.0. Here you have a standard doctrine event entity. I hope everybody of you knows what's written here. So it's just, yeah, you can see it's standard doctrine data. I don't currently care about the data there really is. And thing is, what you can do now in Sulu 2.0 is you can just add stuff to the backend easily by using PHP. You do not have to know how to program in React.js, and you can just add data. For example, here, navigation item, app.events, position 40, FA calendar. It is there. This is not a default item of Sulu.io. You can easily add this by extending your application through PHP. And here you can browse the doctrine entities. You can just enter a form, just as you saw before, and edit those doctrine entities. It, of course, comes with a cost. Again, this is why I always say, hey, you have to know Symfony, you have to know all those abstractions, you have to know doctrine, you have to know how to write a form. Sorry, not the forms, but all in all, this now is a lot easier to do than. Where is the form inside? This is a lot easier to do than writing this stuff all alone on your own. So here's the repository, we have migrations. Now I'm a little lost. See, for example, this the create list view builder with everything inside. This, for example, binds the data from the doctrine entity to this list in the back office of Sulu. So all in all, yeah, it's not so complicated to do that and easily run out of the box, and you can just bring your own entity. That slide I was skipping before. So if you create your own entity, maybe you create an entity with doctrine, maybe you create something inside of an Elasticsearch and you want to display it in Sulu, you can just write your own data provider, use that list view builder, and just add your data. Honestly, I'm currently a bit lost. The form that we saw in the back office before is again set up with the same content types I did show you in the XML file. So the form itself is an XML file where the data from the entity is just bound to those content types. So now you have the possibility to basically add any kind of content that is connected to Symfony and just use it in the Sulu back office and create your own site without any limits anymore. Yeah, so this is just beyond standard content management. I know they're using this for Salius application. They commonly use their smart content data provider, so the content manager can access Salius products and put them inside of the web shop. The web shop is all in all managed by Sulu.io, so you have the connection between commerce and content, which is really easily done. The backend currently is not connected, but of course this is in the aim in the end to just have one backend, not necessary to use the Salius backend anymore, but to use Sulu as backend, just with the power of building React components, standard React components, just from PHP, from the PHP side. Of course, you can add your own components. I am not very proficient in programming React.js, but that's it. So this is a big new thing for Sulu.io. Bring your own entity with all the benefits the content management system can give you. Thank you for listening.
Any questions?
Yeah, of course, questions. As I write here, don't forget you can be part of it. It's open source. Please talk to us, join the channel, ask questions, tell us you hate us and we still will love you. Yeah. So yeah, just ask me questions about it if you have any.
Ребята, вопросы есть?
Well, the one in the back was faster.
Thank you for your speech. I have one small question. I saw that you use XML for templates, and I see that it contains static data. For example, it's translation. Is it possible to use some dynamic data inside these templates?
I don't think so. So it's normally about trivial names that are residing inside the templates. Of course, you asked about stuff like especially the web space, the page name, for example, like this. You mean this stuff? I don't think that that can be connected to a translation service, but I'm not 100% sure. Normally everything goes through standard Symfony translation inside of Sulu, but I'm not sure about that part. And honestly, I never had the case that anybody asked about this, because those are so trivial names. I won't see any occasion they are changing frequently, so you do one-time translation and that's it. I don't want to defend it, but yeah, it's a rare occasion that anybody is asking. If they're using it for 6 months, nobody will ask about those names anymore. So, yeah. There was a question about Frohwein?
Yeah, thank you so much for your talk. It's really interesting. It's always important to have this kind of backend components ready. Maybe you mentioned this, but probably you did. But how do you take data out of it? You store it in PHP CR, but how do you use it in your app afterwards?
Well, on one hand side, it's an easy question, just do as you like, but that of course makes it complicated. The last site I built with Sulu.io was a job directory, for example, and we even put the job data, like 8,000 items, inside of PHPCR, which you basically cannot query anymore because it's too slow, but we put any data we need to query inside of Elasticsearch, so there wasn't any demand to be fast on that side. And to get one item out of the PHPCR and Thor in Doctrine is not much of a problem. So is that in the direction your question was going, or?
So you just use it in Doctrine in separate part, and you can query it, you can get data.
Yeah. You have a PHPCR console, for example, then you can do a PHPCR query. It's a little difficult because there are some parts not really implemented. But again, if you then go away a bit from PHPCR and use a real search daemon, you can circumvent those problems and just let PHPCR be what it is. No SQL storage for easy data management of mostly unstructured data. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Еще вопросы, ребят?
Anything? Who is thinking about using Sulu.io? Ooh. Sorry, guys. I thought.
No questions? Thank you, Karsten.
Sure.
Аплодисменты, ребят.